I'm 61. I have $150,000 saved for retirement. I'm asking the question, when can I retire? That's what we're going to look at today on the Your Financial EKG YouTube channel. I've got a great scenario for you. I've got a 61-year-old flight attendant. She's got $150,000 in her 401k. She's saying, hey, Drew, when can I retire? And how much retirement income can I expect when I get there? So let's go to the details of this, because I think you're going to be surprised from where we got this. All right, so here we go. This came from Market Watch, and here's the question. I'm a 61-year-old flight attendant. I want to retire at 70. I'll have a $900 per month pension and will get Social Security, but only have $150,000 in my 401k. Should I get professional help? And here's some of the details. I think I need a financial advisor. I'm 61 and plan on retiring at 70. I'm a flight attendant and I'll receive a pension of just over $900 per month. I have a 401k with a balance of $150,000, so $150,000 saved for retirement. She's going to receive Social Security when she retires. I've never had a financial planner, and I hope it's not too late to start with one. It is never too late to start with one, no matter what age you are. My goal is to increase my 401k and just use common sense with my spending. I'm single with no children. Any advice or recommendations on who to contact or how to proceed would be appreciated. Well, here you go. I'm going to help you out. 61-year-old with $150,000 saved for retirement. Let's go through the EKG today to see exactly what you need to do. So we have Sherry, the attendant. Sherry's a flight attendant, so I just put attendant as her last name. Now, we don't have a couple pieces of important information. The first piece of important information we don't have is, what is Sherry's current salary? So what I did was a simple Google search, the average salary for a flight attendant today, and that's $85,000 with a 1% projected increase. So we're going to give her an $85,000 salary, which is the average salary for flight attendants. Now, she's 61 years old and she wants to retire at 70. So we have 9 years before we retire. Now, the second piece of information we did not have was what her Social Security benefit would be at 70 or at 67 or at any age. So let me show you exactly what I did. I went to SSA.gov and I went to the Social Security Quick Calculator. And this is a way that you can calculate your Social Security benefit in today's dollars and in inflated dollars. Keep in mind, Social Security has a cost of living adjustment of 2.58%. So what we're trying to look at is, based on her salary, so $85,000 is her salary, and we put her date of birth in as January 1st of 1962. That gets us to 61 years old. What is her Social Security benefit going to be? Now, we can use today's dollars and we can use inflated dollars. I'm just going to use today's dollars to be more conservative, right? Cost of living adjustments with Social Security aren't necessarily guaranteed. The average COLA right now is 2.58%, which I believe will continue on. I'm not telling you COLA's not going to be there, but I'm going to be a little bit more conservative in my planning. So if we hit submit request, it's going to show us right here retirement benefits. So 2301 would be her retirement benefit at 67. At 62, it would be 1526, and at 70, it would be 2970. Now, you might be saying, Drew, what's it matter 62, 67, 70? Well, if you claim Social Security benefits at 62, you're going to get 70% of your full retirement benefit. If you claim Social Security at 67, if you wait till your full retirement date, you're going to get 100% of your full retirement benefits. And if you claim at 70, you're going to get 124% of your full retirement benefits. Now, that's for everyone who was born after 1960. Sherry she's 61. So that's what we need to plug into the EKG. Now, we can also do things like, you can check out what inflated dollars would be. So if we hit inflated dollars, that's putting a cost of living adjustment on things. And you can see 2635 is at 67, which is about $300 more, and 3707 at 70. So let's go back to the EKG and let me show you what we did. We put in 2301. That's the benefit at full retirement age. That's at 67. Now, if she claims at 62, she would get 1611. If we claimed at 63, we're getting 1726. And obviously down here at 70, it's 2853. Now, inflated dollars looks a lot better. That would be 3,700. But again, I'm just trying to be conservative in my planning. Now, we also know that Sherry gets a pension. So we can put in pension down here, and it's going to be $900 a month. Now, she didn't say her start age, so we're just going to say it starts when she retires at 70. Now, what we need to look at is two things. Does it make sense to retire at 70? Can she retire sooner than that? We also want to look at, once she gets to full retirement age of 67, would it make sense for her to take Social Security benefits at that age, help that supplement her income to invest that more for retirement? You know, I don't know. We got to get into all those figures. We don't want to take Social Security before 67, because if you take Social Security from ages 62 to 66 and you're still working, Social Security says, hey, if you make over a certain amount of money, right now it's $20,000, it goes up every year, they're going to take back $1 for every $2 you make over that income threshold. So she's making $85,000 a year. We do not want to take Social Security early and invest it. Don't listen to what people put in the comment section or those videos that say, take your Social Security at 62, invest it, keep working, you'll make more money. Actually, you'll probably lose money because taxes are going to go up, up, up. So let's look at this, and let's look at this in the real world scenario. So for Sherry, we've got two accounts. Now, she's got $150,000 in her 401k. She didn't tell us if she had any money in the bank. So we're just going to assume there's $5,000 in the bank. Okay, I'm not going to put $50,000 in the bank. I'm not going to put $100,000, just $5,000 in the bank. It could be more, it could be less. I don't know. I got to put something in there. Again, Sherry didn't give us all her information. Listen, Sherry, if you're watching this video, go to pearlwealthgroup.com, check us out, get in touch with me so I can update your EKG for you. We also are assuming that Sherry has a home worth about $300,000. We're going to assume that we're not going to have a mortgage payment for Sherry. Because her savings is $150,000 in her 401k, I'm going to assume that she has paid off her house. She's been really focused on paying off her house, so she doesn't have a mortgage, okay? Now, rate of return. We're going to assume from now until retirement, she's going to get a 6% rate of return on her investments. Okay, 1% on the house, but 6% on the money that's in the 401k. At retirement, we're going to go to a 4% rate of return. You see that? So 6 before, 4 after. The reason we're going to downshift to 4% is because once you get into retirement, your investments need to shift from growth, growth, growth to a little bit more of capital preservation, income, things like that. So we're going to downshift her overall investments once we get there. There's another piece of information we didn't have, and that's her monthly expenses. So how do we figure out what the average monthly expenses are? So what I did was I went to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and I found what the average expenditures are for people ages 55 to 64. And I just pulled from there. So here's expenses. That's that light blue, that Carolina blue color. And then this dark blue, this Kentucky blue, that's the income number. So average income between ages 55 and 64 is $74,182. The average expenditures is $55,892. And they're looking at this for household income. Now, a household could be one, a household could be two. I have clients and we section those by households. Well, she could be a single household or a double household. So I don't know, again, expense-wise. So what I'm going to do is we're going to use $4,000 as her expenses. We can go down to $3,500, $3,000. I'll show you that. But we're going to start with $4,000. And we're going to have an inflation rate of 3.27% on that $4,000 in perpetuity, right? Now, we want to be accurate on inflation. Keep in mind, let's say I had more information on Sherry. I'll back up. Hold on. That's CPI. I don't want to show you CPI. Let's say we had more information on Sherry. So let's assume that we don't have a mortgage, but let's say that her current expenses, because she's working and having to travel to the airport and all that stuff, is $4,000. But when she retires, we're going to retire in 9 years. So we're at 2023 right now. So that would be what? 2032. So let's say we retire 2032. So in 2032, our expenses, because we're not working, we're not having to travel for gas, there's not other expenses, let's say they're going to go down to $3,000 a month. So now we can adjust and say, okay, starting in 2032, forever, our expenses are $3,000 a month. So we have these buckets of expenses, right? Or these tranches where expenses are. Now, our inflation rate's still 3.27%. That's the average inflation rate for the last 109 years. That's what we're going to use for the expenses, especially when we're trying to calculate how much those expenses are going to be. But let's say that she had a fixed payment. Let's say she had a mortgage, and the mortgage was $1,000 a month, okay? And her inflation on her mortgage is 0, right? 30-year mortgage, it's not going to go up every year. Your taxes and your insurance will go up, but the actual principal and interest payment is the same. The amount that goes to principal and interest changes every year, right? More goes to principal as time goes on, but the actual payment doesn't change. So what we can look at is if we put that in as 0, look, now our inflation rate goes down 2.62%. That is why it's really important to understand what your average inflation rate is. It might be different, right? My inflation rate is going to be different from your inflation rate. I'm buying diapers right now. I got 3 kids. We homeschool them. They hear all the time. They eating out of the fridge constantly. So our inflation rate's different from your inflation rate, right? 2 retirees living in the same state, the same city, on the same block could have 2 separate inflation rates. And that's why it's really important to make sure you are looking at your expenses and calculate them based on your needs, okay? Don't use averages, use your need. So for her, we're using 4,000. So 4,000 is what we're looking at. Inflation rate's 3.27%. So let's go to pre-retirement. Let's see where we're gonna be when we get to retirement. So we're 61 years old. Our gross monthly salary, this is gross, before taxes, is $7,083. Our monthly contribution is $1,274. So this is what's going into the 401k, and this is the match. Now, what I did for the 401k was I did a simple contribution, just what the average contribution for 401k is. I did the average match, which is 3%. So if you go to Fidelity, if you do Fidelity says that the average match for them right here, for example, 401k plan might use the following step. Your employer matches dollar for dollar until you've contributed 3% of your salary. Then they match 50 cents up to 2%. Okay. That's the average for Fidelity. So I'm just going to use 3% to keep it simple. Okay. So Fidelity sees most matches at 3% and then 50 cents on the dollar up to 2%. I'm just going to use 3%. So there's our match. There's our company contribution, and here's our match, all right? So our net monthly income, here's salary, there's 401k, there's taxes, right? You still got to pay taxes. There's FICA taxes, Social Security, and there's Medicare. So our net monthly income is $4,799, and here's our net monthly expenses, which means we have a positive cash flow. So you see this, how there's a positive cash flow? Let's go to 2024. So you see this positive cash flow here? That's positive. There's $8,951 left over at the end of the year based on the scenario. Now, obviously, things come up. Your HVAC might go out. You might need a new car, might need a new roof, might have a medical situation where you need to pay more money. Dentist, good, don't even get me started on how much teeth cost. It's ridiculous. So we need to look at this and say, hey, we've got a good positive cash flow. Are there months? Are there years where some of this money, this extra cash flow, can be repurposed maybe into a brokerage account for Sherry, just a freedom fund? Money can flow into that and she can use that for her retirement income when needed. And that's something you can be thinking about. If you're doing a budget, how much money's coming in? How much money's going out, and am I red or green? Because what a budget is going to be able to tell you is, do I have money left over at the end of each month, or is there more month left over at the end of my money? Because if there's more money left over at the end of the month, then you have the ability to start stocking away things for an emergency fund. You can start stocking away money into a brokerage account. Maybe you can put more into your 401k. Maybe you can start a Roth IRA contribution, but it all starts with your budget. And so that's what we're wanting to look at here is, where is she at? Now, let's go to retirement. Again, Sherry's going to retire at 70. She already knows she needs to work to save more money. So at 70, we have our pension of $900. That's what was told to us in the Market Watch article. Social Security's $28.53. We're kicking it on at 70. That's 124% of her full retirement benefit. We have net monthly income, Social Security, and pension. And then there's our expenses, $5,387. Those expenses have had inflation on them. So we need $1,634 from our investments on a monthly basis. Now, she's been putting money into her 401k. She's been saving, and that means we have $418,000 at 70. So we went from 150 to 418. And you can see how the money essentially at 85 runs out. So some of the questions are, first of all, Sherry, how do you feel about that? She's single, no kids. She said that in the Market Watch article. So we know we have this house here, this protected asset that we can possibly use for a reverse mortgage, or what they call a home equity conversion mortgage. We can take some money out of the house, we could sell the house, downsize. With a $300,000 house in today's market, that's probably tough. So a reverse mortgage would give an influx of $100,000 to $150,000 more into this plan. Does that make sense? We also need to know, Sherry, what are your exact expenses? Will anything fall off? Because if we're able to get an exact number on your expenses, then we might be able to make this money last longer, because we know, hey, I'm not going to be traveling as much when I'm 75 or 80. Okay, the expenses go down. Hey, Drew, this is, I'm going to have Medicare, not regular health insurance, so I can take that out. So that's a cheaper cost once I get to 70. Again, it's per person, per individual household. So if we go back to the expenses, let's just go back. And again, I showed you the Bureau of Labor Statistics, right? This is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is income and expenditures by age. So we're looking at 55 to 64. So let's just say for this household, it's $3,000. So that's taking out $12,000. So for Sherry, we're going to back out $1,000. What's that do to her retirement? Look at this. At 100, she's got $200,000. We go back to expenses. Let's say it's $3,500. We go back. Look at that, at 92, we're at zero. So at $4,000, we're out at 85. At $3,500, we're out at 92. And at $3,000, we have $200,000 left at 100. So that's why it's really important to understand your expenses. You see how $1,000 can vary how much money you're going to have left at the end of your life? And I'm not saying she's going to live to 100. I'm just trying to calculate out, as a financial advisor, how can we be a little bit conservative and protective over Sherry? She's single, right? You might be single. It's me, myself, and I. And so as a single person, you've got to understand, hey, everything's on me. There's nobody that's coming in to help me. I want to make sure the plan fits me. All right, so let's look at one final thing. So obviously, we're out of money at 85. We feel okay about this plan because we can use the reverse mortgage, a home equity conversion mortgage on our house. But let's go to Redline Solves here. Let's see what the software says when we should take Social Security. So it's saying, hey, take it at 70 years old. So now we know that we're taking Social Security at the optimal time based on her current scenario. Let's go back to the estimated benefits. So this is the inflated benefits, right? Remember we were doing SSA.gov. We're looking at what her Social Security would be. What if we changed it to 30? What if we changed her 67 to 2635, which means at 70, she'd get 3707 with inflation. So let's go back. Let's go to income. Let's go to calculator. And let's change this to, what was it, 2600? Yeah, 2635. Let's save that. So at 70, we're going to get 3267. Now what happens at retirement? Look at that. That's an extra 3 years, just following the COLA increases. So that's really good. So for Sherry, hey Sherry, if you're watching this, you've got a lot of things that are right. You're doing a lot of good stuff. Maybe there's a couple things that we need to look at, but I hope this video has helped you get to retirement, through retirement, and protect your ability to stay there. God bless. Bye-bye.